turning the scrapwood into a stunning summer painting masterpiece. I'm super excited to share this project with you, as it's a great example of how something old and discarded can be transformed into a beautiful piece of art. We've all been there, having leftover scrapwood lying around, wondering what to do with it. Many people think it's useless, but I'm here to prove that with a little creativity, it can become something truly amazing. The truth is, scrapwood can be a treasure trove of creative possibilities. It's often free or low cost, and just waiting for someone to come along and see its potential. I used to have a big stash of scrapwood in my garage, and I would always think about what I could make with it. My friends would tell me it was junk, but I saw it as an opportunity. The possibilities are endless, and I'm not just talking about building furniture. You can create decorations, wall art, and even functional items like coasters or cutting boards. For this project, I started by collecting various pieces of scrapwood and brainstorming ideas. I wanted to create something that captured the feeling of summer, bright, colorful, and fun. I selected a few pieces of wood that I thought would work well together and started sanding them down to smooth out the rough edges. I used a combination of power tools and hand sanding to get the desired texture. My goal was to create a cohesive look, so I chose a color palette that would evoke a sense of warmth and sunshine. I used a mix of acrylic paints and stains to bring the design to life. As I worked on the painting, I added some intricate details and patterns to give it some visual interest. I was really excited to see how it would all come together. And here it is, my scrapwood summer painting masterpiece. I'm absolutely thrilled with how it turned out, and I love the way the colors seem to pop against the natural texture of the wood. The unique features of this piece, like the wooden grain and the layered paint, add a lot of character and depth. It's definitely a one-of-a-kind piece that I'm proud to display. I think it's amazing how something that was once destined for the landfill can be transformed into a beautiful work of art. It just goes to show that with a little creativity and resourcefulness, anything is possible. If you've worked on a scrapwood project, I'd love to see it. When working with scrapwood panels, achieving a stunning finish can be a real challenge. A single misstep can lead to a finish that's far from perfect. I've seen it happen to the best of us. You spend hours crafting a beautiful piece, only to have it marred by a preventable mistake. One of the most common issues people face when painting scrapwood panels is uneven finishes. This can happen when the paint doesn't adhere properly to the wood, causing it to pool in certain areas. Poor adhesion is often a result of inadequate surface preparation. If the wood isn't properly sanded or cleaned, the paint just won't stick. Another issue is color bleeding. This occurs when the wood's natural pigments or previous finishes seep into the new paint, causing discoloration. It's especially problematic when working with woods that have a high tannin content, like oak or pine. And then there's the issue of texture. If the wood isn't properly sanded, you can end up with a finish that's rough to the touch. To avoid these issues, it's essential to take the time to properly prepare your surface. This means sanding the wood to smooth out any rough spots and cleaning it to remove any dirt or debris. Choosing the right paint is also crucial. Look for a paint specifically designed for wood, and make sure it's compatible with your surface. When it comes to painting scrapwood panels, one of the most critical mistakes to avoid is using the wrong tools. A good quality brush or roller can make all the difference in achieving a smooth, even finish. I've learned this the hard way. In a previous project, I used a cheap brush that ended up leaving behind a ton of lint and streaks. The mistake that had the most significant impact on my project was not using a primer. I was in a rush, so I skipped this step, and it ended up costing me. The paint didn't adhere well, and I had to start over from scratch. It was a costly mistake, but it taught me a valuable lesson. To successfully paint scrapwood panels, remember to properly prepare your surface, choose the right paint, and use the correct tools. By avoiding these common mistakes, you'll be well on your way to achieving a stunning finish. I've always been fascinated by finger painting. There's something so therapeutic and fun about it. I mean, think about it, no brushes, no pencils, just your fingers and paint. It's like a whole new world of creativity opens up. I've seen some amazing pieces created with finger painting, and I'm excited to share some tips and techniques with you on how to take your finger painting to the next level. One of the biggest challenges people face when trying to paint with their fingers is the messiness. It's easy to get paint everywhere, on your clothes, on the table, on the floor. And then there's the issue of control. It can be really hard to get the exact shape or design you want when you're using your fingers. I've definitely been there, struggling to get the paint to cooperate. Another challenge is blending colors. When you're using brushes, you can mix colors together easily, but with finger painting, it's a bit trickier. You have to use your fingers to mix the colors, which can be a bit messy. Getting the right consistency of paint can also be a challenge. If the paint is too thick, it's hard to move it around on the canvas. If it's too thin, it just drips everywhere. I found that experimenting with different types of paint and mediums can really help. Some paints are just more suitable for finger painting than others. And then there's the issue of technique. There are so many different techniques you can use when finger painting: dragging, dotting, smudging. It can be a bit overwhelming to know where to start. To overcome these challenges, I've developed some techniques that I want to share with you. First, let's talk about color mixing. One of my favorite things to do is to mix colors together on the canvas. I'll take a big glob of paint and then add a little bit of another color to it. The key is to experiment and have fun with it. Another technique I use is called dragging. I'll take my finger and drag it across the canvas, creating a smooth line. You can use this technique to create all sorts of different effects. I've also found that preparing your canvas is crucial. I like to prime mine with a coat of gesso, which helps the paint adhere and gives it a smooth surface to work on. And then there's the actual technique of painting with your fingers. It's all about using the right amount of pressure and moving your fingers in the right way. With a bit of practice, you can create some really beautiful pieces. So here's my stunning finger-painted mini canvas that I created using the techniques I just shared with you. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The colors are vibrant, the design is intricate. It's just a really fun piece to create. I love how the paint seems to dance across the canvas. You can see how I used the dragging technique to create the background, and then added some dots and lines to give it some texture. I think what I love most about finger painting is the freedom it gives you. You're not limited by brushes or other tools, you can just let your creativity shine. And the best part is, anyone can do it. You don't have to be a skilled artist to create something beautiful with finger painting. Recap the tips shared and the joy of creating art with your fingers, reinforcing that anyone can paint like a pro. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and learned some new techniques to take your finger painting to the next level. If you've had any experiences with finger painting, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. And if you're interested in more art tutorials, be sure to check out my other videos. With a few simple techniques and some practice, anyone can create stunning works of art that'll make you wonder how it was even possible without a brush. So if you're ready to unlock your inner artist and get a little messy, then let's dive in. One of the biggest misconceptions about finger painting is that it's just for kids. You know, a fun little activity to keep them occupied on a rainy day. But the truth is, finger painting is a highly expressive and versatile medium that can produce some truly amazing results, regardless of your age. Another common misconception is that finger painting lacks the sophistication of other art forms. But I'm here to tell you that's just not true. With the right techniques and a bit of practice, you can create intricate patterns, textures, and colors that'll rival even the most skilled brush painters. I think a lot of people are also put off by the idea that finger painting is somehow cheating because you're not using a brush. But let's be real, it takes a lot of skill and control to manipulate paint with your fingers. And if you think about it, our fingers are actually way more precise than a brush. I mean, think about all the tiny details you can achieve with just your fingertips. It's truly incredible. Of course, there are some people who might think that finger painting is just too messy, too unpredictable. But that's actually one of the things I love about it. There's an element of surprise, of not knowing exactly how things are going to turn out, that's really exciting. And yes, it can get messy, but that's all part of the fun. So what makes finger painting so special? Well, for starters, there's the tactile experience of working with paint. You're not just applying it to the canvas, you're feeling it, manipulating it, shaping it with your own hands. It's a totally immersive experience that can be really therapeutic. And then there's the versatility, you can create everything from delicate, detailed patterns to bold, sweeping gestures. The possibilities are truly endless. Now let's talk about some of the techniques you can use to elevate your finger painting game. One of the most important things is to experiment with different consistencies of paint. Thicker paint is great for creating textures and impasto effects, while thinner paint is better for more delicate, watery strokes. You can also use different tools, like sponges or cloths, to create unique textures and patterns. And don't even get me started on color mixing, the possibilities are endless. Another key technique is to practice, practice, practice. Like any skill, finger painting takes time and patience to master. But don't be discouraged if your early attempts don't turn out exactly as you hoped. Keep at it, and you'll be amazed at how quickly your skills improve. And don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things and take risks. That's where the magic happens. Let's take a look at how these techniques can come together in a real-life finger painting transformation. I'm going to start with a blank canvas and just see where the paint takes me. Okay, so I'm starting with a rough outline of a flower, using a thicker, more impasto paint to create some texture. Now I'm going to add some more delicate petals, using a thinner paint to create a softer, more watery effect. And finally, I'm going to add some highlights and details, using a tiny bit of white paint to make everything pop. As I work, I'm trying to let go of any preconceptions about what the final result should look like. I'm just allowing myself to be guided by the paint, to see where it takes me. And you know what? It's actually really liberating. I mean, there's no right or wrong, just the process of creating something new and beautiful. And that's the beauty of finger painting, right there. It's not about creating a perfect, polished piece of art. It's about the journey, the process of creating something new and beautiful. Whether you're a seasoned artist or just starting out, the allure of capturing a serene summer landscape on a tiny canvas is undeniable, and with the right techniques, anyone can achieve stunning results. Painting a summer landscape on a mini canvas can be deceptively difficult, and many artists fall into common traps that can ruin an otherwise beautiful piece. One of the main mistakes artists make is in their color choices, often opting for colors that are too bright or overpowering for the small canvas. This can result in a painting that feels overwhelming or chaotic, rather than serene and inviting. Another common mistake is poor composition, with artists failing to balance elements like trees, water, and sky in a way that creates a sense of harmony. The scale of the canvas also poses a challenge, as artists must learn to suggest detail rather than paint it, which can be a difficult skill to master. Additionally, the small size of the canvas makes it difficult to achieve intricate details, which can lead to a loss of depth and dimension in the painting. The mistakes artists make when painting summer landscapes on mini canvases are numerous, and avoiding them requires a combination of skill, practice, and patience. Artists often struggle to capture the subtleties of light and shadow on a small canvas, which can flatten the painting and make it feel two-dimensional. They may also have trouble suggesting texture and detail, which can make the painting feel vague or undefined. Furthermore, the small size of the canvas can make it difficult to create a sense of depth or distance, which is crucial for capturing the expansive feel of a summer landscape. By being aware of these potential pitfalls, artists can take steps to avoid them and create paintings that are rich, detailed, and captivating. As artists work to capture the beauty of a summer landscape on a mini canvas, they must be mindful of the unique challenges posed by the small scale. The key to success lies in simplifying the composition, using bold brushstrokes, and suggesting detail rather than painting it. By doing so, artists can create paintings that are not only beautiful but also nuanced and layered, inviting the viewer to step into the serene world of the summer landscape. The process of learning to paint on a mini canvas is one of trial and error, with artists often discovering new techniques and strategies through experimentation and practice. With time and patience, anyone can master the art of painting summer landscapes on mini canvases, and the results can be truly breathtaking. Diving deeper into the mistakes artists make when painting summer landscapes on mini canvases, it becomes clear that many of these errors can be avoided with practice and attention to detail. For example, artists can learn to create a sense of depth by using layering techniques, where the background is painted first and then layered over with successive elements like trees or hills. This approach helps to create a sense of distance and dimension, drawing the viewer's eye into the painting. Artists can also use color to suggest texture and detail, opting for warm colors to create a sense of roughness or cool colors to create a sense of smoothness. By mastering these techniques, artists can create paintings that are rich and detailed, even on a small canvas. One of the most significant mistakes artists make when painting summer landscapes on mini canvases is failing to balance warm and cool colors. Warm colors like orange and yellow can create a sense of energy and warmth, while cool colors like blue and green can create a sense of calmness and serenity. When these colors are not balanced, the painting can feel disjointed or overwhelming, which can be particularly problematic on a small canvas where every brushstroke counts. To avoid this mistake, artists can use a color wheel to plan their palette, ensuring that warm and cool colors are balanced in a way that creates harmony. By doing so, artists can create paintings that are not only beautiful but also emotionally resonant, drawing the viewer into the serene world of the summer landscape. The consequences of making mistakes when painting summer landscapes on mini canvases can be significant, resulting in paintings that are dull, lifeless, or uninviting. However, by being aware of these potential pitfalls and taking steps to avoid them, artists can create paintings that are truly stunning. For example, artists can use the technique of glazing to create a sense of depth and dimension, applying multiple layers of transparent paint to achieve a rich, luminous color. This approach can be particularly effective on a small canvas, where the subtle layering of color can create a sense of nuance and complexity. By mastering techniques like glazing, artists can take their mini canvas paintings to the next level, creating works of art that are not only beautiful but also captivating and thought-provoking. When it comes to painting summer landscapes on mini canvases, one mistake can dramatically affect the outcome, failing to suggest atmosphere and distance. This can make the painting feel flat and two-dimensional, rather than inviting the viewer to step into the serene world of the summer landscape. To avoid this mistake, artists can use techniques like atmospheric perspective, where objects in the distance are painted with softer, cooler colors to create a sense of depth and distance. This approach can be particularly effective on a small canvas,